This is W2FJH bringing up the STNY clock group 31367, Flyers X room 83721, and on Zoom. The primary purpose of the STNY Digital Voice Net is to help foster an active digital voice community in the southern tier of New York and to provide a forum for those that are interested or have questions regarding various digital voice topics. While this net is primarily for the southern tier, all stations are more than welcome to check in. This net meets weekly on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Again, the call is Whiskey 2 Foxtrot Juliet Hotel, and the name here is Frank. We'll first take a standby for any stations with emergency or priority traffic. Please call now. Okay, nothing heard there. If there is any emergency or priority traffic during this event, please give your call sign followed by the word break spoken 2 times. Please leave a 4 to 5 second pause between transmissions for breaking stations or for those who wish to disconnect the talk group. This is a directed net, and the format will follow announcements, questions, and comments. This net utilizes NetLogger, which can be found at netlogger.org. NetLogger is not required, and we will take additional voice records. For more information about this net or to join the for more information on that or to join the Zoom meeting, please visit stnydmr.net. That's Sierra Tango November Yankee Delta Mike Romeo.net. You can also find us on 73.net. That's Sierra Echo Victor Echo November numeric number 3.net. This net will prioritize mobile in and out or emergency power stations, followed by NetLogger seconds, followed by voice seconds. We will also take a call here for short timers. We will also prioritize mobile and short timers first. We currently do have one station checked in through NetLogger, so that would like to recognize KC9HCK, Brian. When checking in, please give your call sign, your name, and your location. So let's take a standby for any short time or mobile station. Please call now. Okay, nothing heard there. So let's open up for any station that would like to check in this evening. Please call now. N2 NCB, Paul, Owego, New York. KM4 UJP, John, St. George Island, Florida. W3TEZ, Portable, Ryan in Buffalo, New York. Okay, and I'd like to recognize N2NCB, Paul from Owego, New York. KM4 UJP, John from St. George Island, Florida. And W3TEZ, Ryan from Buffalo, New York. Were there any other stations in there that I might have missed? Please call now. K2ERI. Right, and we have K2ERI, Eric from Owego, New York. All right, let's kick things off here. If there's any announcements for this evening, please call now. Okay, no announcements. Let's move on for questions. If there's any questions for tonight, please call now. KM4, UJP. I have a question for the fellow from Buffalo. Over. KM4, UJP. Yeah, go further away with your question there, John. And you can talk with W3 and TEZ, Ryan from Buffalo, directly there. Just hand it back to me when you guys are wrapped up. Hey, Ryan, KM4, UJP. John down here, St. George Island, Florida. I am wondering, is there much DMR activity in the Buffalo area? KM4 UJP, stand by. KM4 UJP, this is W3TEZ in Buffalo, New York. There's some DMR activity. I'm coming in over. The 444375 repeater because the old analog one went down. We got 3 link repeaters that hardly get any use, and then there's just this one. That's a standalone, but I've got various talk groups on it, so that's how I'm coming in tonight. Over. Yeah, thank you very kindly. I'm a Southern Erie County native, and I've got several of the far western New York, Buffalo area talk groups programmed in, and I never can find any activity on any of them. Over. And if you want, I got a talk group in this repeater on time slot 1, which is the repeater ID number. You can dial it up on a hotspot. I can answer you. Repeater on time slot 1. It is talk group number 313276. Roger that. 313276. Thank you. All right, you're welcome. This is W3TEZ Portable back to that. All right, very good there. Yes, well, you guys were talking there. Also, we did pick up an additional station, so the net would like to recognize N30JP Mick from Beaver Falls, PA. And we will open back up. If there's any additional questions for this net, please call now. Sorry about that. I saw AI6IG come in there. I might have doubled with you there. Did you come back there again? Were you looking to check in this evening? Yeah, I was looking to check in. I just looked at the clock and saw the time and ran over and turned on the hotspot and just just curtailed the modem in order to get online. AI6IG. Hey, no problem at all there, John. I got you checked in. So we're not really recommend AI6IG, John. So we were just about to move over to comments there. So the net topic this evening was shortwave radio. If you do any shortwave listening, and if you do, what do you hear on it? So first on our list is KC9 HEK. Brian, how was your week there? This is KC9 HEK. Well, Frank, hello to everybody else in the group tonight. Week was reasonably well. We had a little break in the weather for a couple of days, got up into the 40s and 50s, but now we're getting back in the snow again. As to shortwave listening, very active in shortwave listening many years ago. So it piqued my interest in getting into ham radio. Used to enjoy listening to the DX and the high power stations. Also listen to the South American stations to practice my Spanish when I was in high school and the first couple of years of college. Today, though, I don't have a shortwave radio. So when I do listen to shortwave, I use Kiwi SDR. And I find that there's really not a lot out there to interest me anymore. It's just not quite the same as it used to be. You know, with all the international broadcast stations pretty much shutting down service, I just really don't find the programming out there to be of much interest to me anymore. So with that, I will turn it down to Paul and to NCV. Well, do I have it? Yes, Paul, you can go ahead there. N2 TV, W2FA. I was a paper, delivered papers in junior high and high school. And in January, we were given calendars to go around and, in essence, get tips for delivering the calendar. And so my first year of that, it was, I forget what the model number was, but it was a Lafayette shortwave receiver. Oh, 6, 7, 8 tubes in it, that kind of deal. Actually still have it. Not sure where I put it yet, but I know I still have it. So I did a lot of that as a kid, not so much anymore. And this past week was a little busy, a lot of out and about type of stuff. But in the late afternoon and evening time, we're making a lot of contacts on 12, 15, and 17, mostly 12 and 15. Been real active that way. In fact, the other night here on 12, made contact with Lebanon. So that was pretty good that way as well. So I think that's about it from here. Back to you, Frank. Take care all. Into NCB. Yeah, very good there, Paul. And yeah, it seems like a few weeks here you've been checking it. They're saying you've been making some good contact. That's really good. So, all right, next on my list is KM4UJT. John, how was your week there? Oh, thanks, Frank. Well, actually, it's a little somber. On Monday, I had to have my 18-year-old Chihuahua, who and I've been together for almost 18 years. Had to have him put away. You know, great little dog. I miss him a lot. But anyway, he had a good life. This week, the weather's been really weird. It was nice and warm early in the week, and then a couple of days ago, the wind started blowing, and it's cold. It was about 50 degrees here now, which is kind of unexpected. I do still try to do some shortwave listening. I have a Sony something 7600, kind of a smallish portable radio. Don't have a great antenna, and as some of the other folks have said, there isn't much on there anymore. It's fun to listen to Radio Havana from time to time. Get a different perspective on the world news and such as you might expect. But yeah, I don't know if the shortwave listening maybe is going away, but it's still fun to try and pick up a few broadcasts from time to time. KM4UJP, back to that. Yeah, very good there, John. And yeah, sorry to hear about your dog there. And yeah, I've been getting a few emails about different shortwave radios, and I just happened to watch a YouTube video about one there, and the one that they were reviewing on YouTube was kind of expensive. One was like $400, but it looked like a very nice one. But I don't know. I was just made a topic because I haven't done any shortwave listening myself, and I didn't know if it was still active or what do you hear on it. So good perspective I'm getting here this evening. So, all right, next one. This is W3TEZ. Ryan, how was your week today? W3TEZ Portable, Buffalo, New York. But it's quite an interesting weekend. It was St. Patrick's Day yesterday. Got to cook a big pot of corned beef and cabbage. But there's a lot of ready today on 10 and 15 meters. Picked up some new countries for my logbook and been very active on ready all day. 20 and 40 been kind of noisy, so I just kind of been between 10, 15, and 17 meters, but been doing ready all day. Just sitting here in the house, keeping warm. There's snow blowing over here, so not much to do, just playing a bunch of radio. Yeah, with the snow blowing, it's a good day for radio there. So I don't blame you at all. So over here, my weather station's come up, but we were having some warmer days. Some of the snow has melted over here, but yeah, hopefully some warmer days are ahead. There, we're getting into late March here, so hopefully the weather's warming up, not cooling down there. So. All right, this is W2FJH with the STNY digital voicemail. And before I get to my next station, let me take a standby for any stations that would like to check in this evening. Please call now. All right, then we will move on to K2ERI. Eric, how was your week there? Oh, good evening, everybody. Not too bad this week. Just been working on stuff at the house here. Getting a desktop set up I've got for practically, well, I'd say pretty much free for the most part, except for the power, which cost me about $50. But everything hooked up. Got the computer going here at the desk. Actually, it's my first full week using the system here, and been working on my setting up, getting my base radio up and running, and that project came through pretty well. Just on the windy days up here, it's hard to get into some of the repeaters because the antenna moves up there at the main site. But other than that, it's not a problem. If I'm in my vehicle, it seems to work just great. Well, that's got more power, so that's all good. So I mean, 20 watts where I'm at gets out pretty well actually. But when I'm out traveling, the 50 watts works a lot better. But 20 watts is more than enough for where I'm at. So other than that, not too much else going on here. Just playing around with some radios and listening to the DMR stuff on Miracle Link a lot. Actually, I've been on Miracle Link a lot and worldwide the last about 3 or 4 days. But other than that, not too much going on. But I'll send it over to the next station. Hi, good evening, Frank. I'll pick it up. And thank you, Eric. Oh, good evening to Frank and Brian and Paul and John, Ryan, Eric, and John again in California. Sorry to hear about your dog, John. Well, I'll tell you, we're cat people, and you really get attached to them. Cat we have now, 2 years old. Boy, he follows me around all over the place. And I got a good spot for him here up on the second shelf of my hand desk that he likes to lay up there and keep an eye on me, or on the steps, one of the two. Anyway, shortwave listening. I used to love it when I lived in Michigan. I live just north of Detroit, 20 miles, but I could pick up the the Traverse City Coast Guard. The Boston, Massachusetts Coast Guard came in good. And
there was quite a bit of activity, a lot of search and rescue and those types of things. So I enjoyed that. But I kind of got away from it. I don't think I got a real good shortwave radio here. It's a Radio Shack. Oh, it is DX something, 398. There's a lot of noise on it. So I'm not that sure about it. Of course, I got a couple 7300s that could take the place. But I should just start the monitor again. I used to really enjoy it. This week here, let's see, I went up fishing Sunday. I went up to Chautauqua County, got a place up there on Chautauqua Lake, but I fished the creeks that feed into Lake Erie. And Monday was pretty good. I got a couple steelhead. But man, when that wind blew in on Tuesday, about a foot of snow, it was just impossible to fish. So I didn't even bother. I was kind of bored to death that day. But I got down Wednesday, a little cold in the morning. Sun was out, but a little bit of skim ice on the creeks here and there. But the water was really, really low because it was so cold there was no runoff. So there was no fish. So about 2 o'clock, my feet were cold. I said, you know what? I'm going to pack up and go home. Because my grandson has a fitness class that he attends on Wednesday night. So stop and see him. Thursday, a good friend of ours, his son plays high school hockey. And we went to the game. Let me get a reset here. Yeah, their high school was in the playoffs here. So they went down to Robert Morris University Center. They got a nice complex down there on Neville Island. And enjoyed the hockey game. Unfortunately, they lost. But still, it's good. And then last night, I conducted an FL Digi training class. But on Tuesday, I always try to get into the Twin Peers digital at 7:30 on Tuesday night. I enjoy those fellas. Boy, they do a great job. They're really good with their digital work. FL Digi or FL Amp. We get into Vara, WinLink, a few other things too. So I kind of enjoy their company on Tuesday night. So other than that, just working on my wife's greenhouse and waiting for a little bit of warmer weather on Monday. We start putting pavers down for the base. But that's Frank, I'll turn it back to you. W2FJH N30JP.
Yeah, we're good there, Mick. You've been having those fun-filled weeks here. So yeah, so the Twin Tier guys, they do a good job. I've been trying to talk to some of them to see if they would be interested in getting on 7.3, but I haven't gotten any bites there. So great you got out fishing though. So good. And Eric, I know you're paying there because it seems like we're surrounded by counties that do have active amateur radio repeaters and everything up. But in Tioga, I'm trying to encourage. I try to get on the local Tioga repeaters and try to set up some stuff there. So I don't like having to reach out all the time and having waterfall and everything else on my end. It's nice to have a full fight every now and then. So. All right, next on my list is AI6IG. John, how was your week there?
It was interesting. I sold a radio, an older Icon 751, to a guy in Florida. Boy, shipping was expensive, which I advertised as shipping included. I'll know better next time. As far as shortwave listening, I was an avid listener for years. Gave my father a shortwave radio, and he ended up being an avid listener. I also have an ICF 7600, but that isn't quite as good as a good shortwave transceiver with a receive site like an ICOM or Hightech. There isn't a lot on there anymore, not like it used to be. Back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, every country in the world broadcasted, and they all had English language broadcasting for at least an hour or two a day. I know the DOA has shut down all their 100,000 watt transmitters except for one on the East Coast, which I'm able to pick up on occasion. I used the ICF 7600 to Sony when I was in Iraq for the first year and a half of the war. So, and that came in handy because I could pick up VOA and BBC There was no one local when we were on test. That's for sure. But other than that, the weather's good. Still sorting through radios that I'm trying to sell. And still occasionally listen to shortwave radio. It's just not, everybody's gone digital. That's the problem. They're all broadcasting on the internet now. Back to net control.
Yeah, very good there, John. And just first and foremost, here, thank you for your service. I wasn't aware that you were previously in the service there. So, and yeah, that seems like to be the trend of what a lot of people are saying here this evening. I was just happy to see a lot of advertisements for shortwave, and thought maybe I was missing something, but I don't know. Maybe it's something was cheap there. Actually, I wanted to go back to Nick's point. I just remember that he did have a question on 7C there. But before I get to Nick's question there. I'm going to open up for any additional stations that would like to check in this evening based on them.
This is AD30, Denny in Florida City, Florida. Good evening.
This is Kilo Echo Zero Foxtrot Tango, Mike in Illinois. All right, and then I would like to recognize AD30 Danny from Fair PA there. I remember you were at a different location there. That's what pulled up on my screen again. So, and the KEO Foxtrot Tango Mike from Illinois there. So before I get to my next station, I did want to address the usual past Nick here. He was looking at shortwave radio, which by the way, for AD30 and KE for Foxtrot Tango. The next topic this evening is on shortwave radio. Do you do any shortwave listening, and what do you hear? So Mick did have a question on here. If you were using SDR device, what kind of antenna is needed? I'm not sure if you wanted to speak more to what you were looking there, Mick, or I know some of them you can just connect a random wire. I've been meaning to do it myself. I have an SDR and a random wire, but you actually bring up a good point that I might be able to do some shortwave listening with SDR. So I'm going to hand it over to you there, Nick. MCOJP uses W258.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. I've got one of those SDR devices that you plug into your computer. And it does have an antenna, but it looks like about the size of it'd be for a cell phone. It's just a couple centimeters high. And doing some research online, it seems like we really need a long antenna, a couple 100 feet in some cases. I'm just curious if anybody is using an SDR. What are they doing for an antenna? I have used that computer site that Ed, NE2W, mentioned. But I'm just curious what people are using for an antenna as far as length if they have an SDR. Back to you, Frank, N30JP.
Okay, C9, HCK. Maybe two FJH here. I was going to open it up for any additional comments. I know the one I have is a small SMA connector. I think I could just connect that to an SO239, and then from there I could connect any antenna, any sort of wire antenna. I think I just have a small adapter for it. But again, I haven't tried it out, so we'll. I saw KC9 HCK with a comment there, so we'll hand it right over to Brian. I saw a lot of an SDR down go. has had actually pretty good luck with about a 75-foot long wire. He's got up probably about 15 to 20 feet in the tree and then over to the peak on his house. So that seems to be working out reasonably well for him. I've used it for maybe 5 or 6 hours over the course of a year. You know, nothing expensive, but seems to work okay. Back to your net control. This is KC9 HEK.
6IG would come in too.
Well, John, I keep double with you. I think AI6IG jumped in there. I just didn't catch it on my end. I see it at the same time. But yeah, let me hand it over to John first, and then I'll hand it over. John, if you could hand it over to N30JP when you're done there to see if we answer this question there.
Sure. I use an NFED. I have, I think I mentioned it the last time I was online a couple of weeks ago. I have one of the EARCHI.org NFED Matchbox antenna boxes with a 40-foot long wire, and I have the adapter. I go from the UHF connector to the SMA, and that works great too. I just have one of those dongles that goes from 20 megahertz on up, but it picks up an awful lot, and FM too. So I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty good long wire. My long wire is only about 38, 40 feet, and it works. Yeah, so that's, anything is better than what was shipped. I got one of those little tripods with rabbit ear style antennas that come up, and that's okay for local FM stations, but that's about, and you know, police and fire and that kind of thing, but that's about all it does. That's net control. Okay, well, thank you. I certainly got the room for wire. I just wasn't sure what kind of length. Brian mentioned 75 feet, that's good. And John, well, it's true, anything's better than what they ship. I've got a scanning antenna out in the rafters in my garage. It's a big thing. And, well, I'd have to pare it down to get it to some sort of connector to get it into that dongle. But that's why they make adapters. So I might have to try that. But I think that only goes up to 500 megahertz, which is good. I'm not sure what it is on the low end. I might have to put a VNA on it and see what it does. But very good. Yeah, thanks for the thanks for the feedback here, and I'll have to see what I can come up with. As far as the NFED, well, I think just a long way will do the trick. All right, Frank, I'll turn it back to you. Thanks for taking your time for my question. W2FJH N30JP.
No problem at all, then. I think that's all for question and answer and comments and all that. So very good there. I just happened to be on 7-3, and I noticed that you had that question posed out there, so I figured on that. So. All right, next on my list is 8030. Danny, how was your week there?
Yeah, this is 8030. Well, not a bad week. Been doing a bit of biking, and we're down to Floral City, Florida. That's where we spend the winters. My home location is there. So, and we've gotten into this DMR thing in the last few weeks and been learning quite a bit as it goes. It's interesting. As far as shortwave listening, used to do it a lot. I haven't done much. Had a couple of shortwave receivers over the years, but most of it I'm on the ham bands. And as far as SDRs, I've got probably 4 of them, I guess, around here, and they're fun to listen to. I do none of them. I've never tried any of them on shortwave bands, just on VHF and stuff. I've used them for different things. I have a balloon tracker that I have a couple to an SDR, and they're handy. They're fun. They work really well, and they work really well with Raspberry Pis. So that's what I got tonight. This is 80s Real.
Yeah, very good there, Danny, and thanks again for. I put it in my notes this time. Hopefully, next time I'll see that you're in Floral City, Florida. There, I remember you said you were I believe it's called the Snowbird. They go down to Florida and come back up when we don't have snow on the ground in the field. All right, next village is KE0 Foxtrot Tango. Mike, how was your week there? Doing really well. Thanks for bringing me in. Doing well today. I think it's John out there that I heard who was talking about his pup that he had to put down, and I'm really so sorry to hear that. And oddly enough, we had the same thing happen in our house with a Chihuahua. We had a Chihuahua that. So I don't know if my video is cutting out. It beeps at me, and I have to figure out what's going on. I don't transmit very often. We also had a 16-year-old Chihuahua that we had put down. So I'm just going to make these really short bursts until I figure out what's going on. But yeah, otherwise the week is going well. Thanks for bringing me in. Hey, no problem at all there, Mike. And it's not that any time. I believe, or at least the call sign doesn't ring a bell here. So yeah, any more information about this net can be found at STNY.dmr.net. We also put out, if you happen to miss a week, we put out recordings of the net as well. And just as a quick, I'll turn it back to you. I might be asking a stupid question there, but it kind of sounds like, from my end at least, I hear that chirping, and it sounds like the timeout timer prediction. So that might be a setting just to double check in your radio to see what your TOT, your timeout timer, is set to, and maybe that's just set to pretty short. I know some radios they can go down to like 30 seconds. So I'll hand it back over to you there, Mike, real quick to see if I have a stupid question or maybe they're down to something. No, that's not a good question at all. Thanks. I think you're probably right. I just recently reset the radio, and that very well could be what it is. I just have to go find it and remember where it's at. Also, I did want to mention, and if it beeps again, I'll turn it off and come back in. But I listen to a lot of shortwave, and I've got a few shows that I listen to regularly. And tell me, after that beep comes through, are you still hearing me talking? Just curious. Thanks. KE0FST. Yes, we still hear you talking there. I'm guessing a lot of times, a lot of radios, or at least the any phones and the BTEC 6F2 that I'm using here now, they have a timer predict. I think it beeps and then you have 10 seconds basically. So I think we do hear you afterwards, but I think basically your time is running out. I'm guessing that might be the setting you're looking for. All right, thanks so much. I know that's going to be annoying for you guys. It would be annoying for me. So I'll just say real quick that I've had a few programs, like there's one called Screws in the Decades, and the Voice of the Report of a Week, a great music program. There's a few good ham radio programs on WRMI. There's a Texas shortwave radio program, and that's me in there. So there are a few, and I do still enjoy it, but yeah, it's nothing like it was in the 70s. So I'll be here, KE0FST. And thanks. Hey, very good there, Mike. And also, just by the way, you kind of, I tried to reflect a few of them there that you were saying. My time was going up pretty fast, though. But we do also have a website. It's called 73. It's 7 spelled out, SEVEN, numeric number 3. .net. And also up there, it's basically kind of like a social network there. It's only for hams. It's kind of social network just for him. But if you did have an account there, it'd also be a great place to kind of post if they did post a net topic this evening on shortwave. If there is any programs there, you can always post them up there. And this way everybody else could potentially see, and also what frequencies you're potentially on that you're hearing them. So, okay, very good there. All right, this is W2HAH with the STNY digital voice then. And let's take we're about 40 minutes in here, so let's take this final call here. For any additional stations to join this evening, or if any stations that have checked in, if they with additional comments, questions, or concerns, please call now. KM4, UJP, comment. Right, KM4, UJP, John, we got a comment there. Yeah, someone mentioned Raspberry Pis just a minute ago. It reminded me of something. You guys may be aware of this, but I ran across a thing this week. It's called a Raspberry Shake. And what it is, it's a device that uses a Raspberry Pi, and somehow it can detect earthquakes and other seismic movement in an area. And I thought that's pretty interesting. It's a little expensive, but I thought that's a pretty cool application of Raspberry Pis. I'm a big fan of Raspberry Pis, and they're so versatile. They're just remarkable. Just wanted to mention that. Back in that. Yeah, thanks there, John. I just Googled it, and I'll have to take a look at that. Yes, the Raspberry Pis, I really like them too. Unfortunately, they have become quite expensive because of the shortages, and hopefully I've been reading an article that they do predict that near the half or the second half of the year, hopefully these prices will start coming down. I know even some of the Raspberry Pi Zeros were going for up over $100 just for the board. Now I'm actually seeing a Connecticut that actually has a small Pi Zero W package for $80. So at least the price is coming in the right direction. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there's no more some chip shortages, and they actually get some backlog actually filled back up, and we can actually get the Raspberry Pis in hand again. So. All right, I'll make the second final call here for any last minute comments, questions, concerns from anybody checked in, or if there's any last minute stations to check in, please call now. All right, then, with nothing heard, we will wrap things up here then. I'd like to thank Brian, Paul, John, both Johns, Ryan, Eric, Nick, Danny, and Mike for joining us this evening. We'll return the stalkers back to normal amateur radio use. We do have our AfterNet tech discussion, which we'll be talking about using and setting up NetLogger as net control. So if anybody would like to join us there on Zoom, you can find a link at STNY and DMR.net. So everybody have a great and safe week there. This is W2FJH. I'll be listening.